Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. Well, I just been sitting here all day. I was supposed to go out with little buddy Gordy Gord, but didn't do that, and I just let him go outside by himself. And I've just been basically like, let me jump into the screen share situation. Right. So I've just been like clicking and clicking and clicking and clicking and clicking and clicking. And all right, so it says, okay, it says the test results are the same as the previous run. Failing, something is failing. Rendering the error state instead of expected component. The error message text, the issue persists despite refactoring the mock setup. This is likely points to an issue with or logic error in the component use effect when handling the API response. Vision module page failing to have value. I don't know, blah, blah, blah. Conclusion. We've hit a point where further adjustments to the test files or jest configuration are unlikely to resolve the remaining failures. The evidence strongly suggests component bugs and logic errors related to asynchronous operation, data fetching, state update, stubborn import issues, recommended debug components, keep failing test skipped, rerun. So I don't know. It says like, okay, so we're done trying to figure out. We're done like fixing our. So you see over here, we have all these like little bottles, right? These are test. This is the testing code, and it says it's tired of dealing with that. So I said change the tester role to developer role. Also communicate with yourself as a tester and discuss the issues you have found with yourself as a developer. After you after you have created a plan to move forward, propose the suggestions to yourself in the role of a software architect. Consider the overall framework of the software and the environment, specific goals of the code and the testing environment code. Provide a robust set of recommendations and a numbered list of for the developer and tester roles to work on. All right, thanks for the detailed breakdown. It sounds like we've wrestled with the environment into submission for the most part after ejecting and upgrading Jest. Manual mocks for React Router DOM seem to be holding, which is good news. So the key takeaways are uh, this page needs some work. This page needs to take a look. This is still broken. So we're gonna fix. Now, okay. The other thing was, remember this the Gemini Pro plan. So remember before it was like Gemini Pro Experiment, and then it says I had to change it. So what I did was I just clicked. You see how it says preview right here? So I just clicked the. Oops. Oh no. Custom model. Yeah. So I had to copy and paste this in here, and then it figured it out after that. So I had to change the custom model. All right, let's continue. All right, so anyways, we fixed that. We did lots of work. Okay, the architect, here's the status. The good, we've successfully did this. The bad, the ugly, my plan. Role software receiving report providing guidance. Thanks for thorough update with clear plan developer. Thanks for test role. It's good progress. Having 3 out of 5 suites passing reliably is good base manual. Here's my recommendations. Prioritize component bug fixes. Address this. Do this. Do this. Do this. Actionable. All right. So, do you want to work on the actionable, actionable list in tandem with manual testing? We could open the local environment and I could do an action manually. If it works manually, then you could check it with the developer and tester, or check the steps one by one with the developer and tester. And I could also do some testing manually to make sure that the code is doing what I expect it to do and give clarity to the tester and developer. So I kind of think maybe we should work in tandem, because I feel like there could be some errors to the code, and errors like that's based on like there's some misunderstanding about what actually I want it to do. And so it's testing stuff, it's doing stuff that I don't necessarily want it to do. And it's just, but it's like in some kind of doom loop where it's just like testing and going around in circles. Like, for example, I don't know, like it says debug and fix the data loading state update in the Visual Vision module page. So we could start with number 1. Okay, so here's the, okay, user. Collaborator. Now let's throw this in here. So, okay, new chat. So we're going to go through these steps using Firebase Studio. Keep us on track and follow up as we continue. All right, so I need a kind of like a big screen. All right, let's begin with the first item, debugging. Okay. Okay, so this is what I mean. Okay, so please migrate to Gemini 2 Pro. So what you do is you click this, and then you go into here. Oops. You paste it like this, and that's it. There we go. Okay, let's do this. Thanks for providing. I'll examine it now. Keep in mind the issues reported tester role name. Initial data not loading. Renders correctly, loads this excessive. Let's look at the code. All right, so what's happening? Okay, developer hat back on. Whoa. So the developer is doing its thing right now. Oh, next steps for the developer and tester. So it's like dividing up the tasks between the developer and the tester. Why? Because in the code base, we have code which is directly related to the developer. That's the role that we started with when we started working on this project. Then I decided to do automated tests. So I asked the LLM to create a new role called a tester. And then I also asked the tester to make sure that when it's creating testing software, that it only affects the actual tests, but doesn't affect the the code. And then eventually, as I just showed you at the beginning of this video, we eventually got to the point where it's like, okay, we did as much as we can do with the testing. So then that's where I introduced this idea of a software architect. And I said, all right, so let's have the tester and the developer, both of those roles, talk to an architect. And then the architect can look at the overall picture of the code and then recommend the steps to move forward. And then I got those steps to move forward and I put them into Gemini Advance so that it can follow up on the steps that we're taking. So then what I'm going to do is after it finishes this task, then we're going to cut and cut and paste the result back into the Gemini window so that it can tell us what the next step is. Now, then what happened is, okay, I said, let's start. And then it's just like now it's acting in both of a testing role and a developer role. So sometimes it's going to be the developer role, so it'll be actually working with the code base. Sometimes it's in the tester role. It'll be working with the testing code base. And all the while, we're using the Gemini 2.5 Pro preview, which is fine, which means that everything is where I think it needs to be. All right, now I'm kind of trying to talk to it more with its native language. Because, mostly I was just writing, okay, yes, yes, okay, okay, yes, yes. I didn't really know what to say. So now instead of doing that, I'm like copying exactly. So I'm using the Gemini Advanced over here as the project manager. And then to keep track of the project steps. So then I pasted what the Firebase told me, which was, I guess, the developer was talking, and then um, it says, okay, well then continue, and then this is what it decided to tell the developer role. Okay, so this is good. So now the project manager is like telling the Firebase to do a role switch and to do the test. So now we're back into this concept of dueling pianos, but in this case, um, we have two roles inside of our IDE, and then which is the tester and the developer, and then we have the project manager over here, which is kind of like trying to keep things together. And that's what I think. I think it's just it's too complicated for me to keep track of every single thing that's happening. And so that's why I feel like the best way to move forward in this kind of environment is to do some copying and pasting so that it's able to keep focused on what's going on. Also, I think that we're in a much more complicated environment right now. We have a tester, we have a developer, we have a project manager, and we're simultaneously working with a testing environment and also with a software code environment. This is basically what it looked like for basically like the past 2 hours, where it's just like thinking and then testing and then it'll do this. So it'll be like, okay, now you're gonna run the terminal command, and then down here it'll like this will turn white, and then it'll just be like beep bop boop beep 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 beep, and every single time this will turn red. Once it turns red up here, it'll say it failed, and then it'll be like, okay, so what are we gonna do next? So now it's gonna try some other situation. Now the interesting thing is that I did mention that I'm like willing to do some user testing and like look at what's going on, and it's not asking for my help at all. Well, this is annoying. If you have epilepsy, don't look at the screen. Wow. Look away. All right, so now I'm gonna. All right, so good. So it has the test results analysis. I can just paste everything in here. What does it say anyways? All right, so it says, okay, thank you for the thorough analysis of the test results. It's clear that despite the previous efforts, the core issues in the vision module and the module page router are persistent and require deeper investigation. We are looping back to the development phase with more specific targets based on these failures. Current step, developer debug component code round 2. Action, developer debug. Again with the following focus: data loading, state update, save logic, up autosave logic, action developer, action, okay, acknowledging tester role, action tester as planned. Please keep this, skip for now. Developer, please proceed with targeted debugging. Let us know when you believe the specific issues have been addressed, and then we'll proceed with another test. Role developer. All right, they don't have an easy way to copy the text. Did it actually do something? I didn't even check. Didn't do anything. Okay, tester, I see the necessary setup and the developer's confirmation of fixes is ready to run. I didn't see anything. All right, this is red, so it's going to say it failed. And then it's going to tell us something about what happened. Man, that's annoying. Yeah, what does it say? So it says, thank you for running the test again, providing detailed analysis, frustrating issue, acknowledge the conclusion. Okay, current step, developer debug component, source code, direct debugging action, developer proceed with debugging source code of the component directly, likely issuing browser development tool or the ID debugging feature. Debug that, focus on that, debug that, acknowledging, is it doing something? Oh, I don't want to watch that. Acknowledge tester role and process change action. As recommended, please skip both this and this. For time being, a process adjustment will adopt this. Developer, please begin direct debugging process. One of these components, let us know what you believe fix issues. Proceed to. Okay, so it should start doing something, right? Oh, it's doing something. Okay. Okay, developer, understood. You focused on refining the mock setup within the file itself, specifically aiming to resolve this error. By ensuring the mock consistently returns a promise, acknowledge the component logic within this have been. Okay, current step, verify mock fix. Pay close attention to this. Primary goal, expectation. Please report back specifically on when this has been resolved. Okay. Turns red, which means it's failed. The tester gives us back some. Now, remember at the beginning when I was talking about this, where I was looking at, I was asking Firebase Studio if it would be useful to communicate what's happening with the outside LLM. And it said no, because they don't really understand what's happening. We can just do it ourselves. Now, Thing is that now we're a much more complicated situation because inside of Firebase Studio, we have we actually have three roles. We have an architect role, but we're not really using the architect right now. We're just using the tester and the developer roles. But the thing is, I can't be the project manager for this project. It's now become too complicated for me. Because before, basically, all I was doing was like, okay, keep going. Okay, yes, no problem. But now I need to actually switch back and forth between these two roles, and I need to kind of like make sure that they're communicating with each other well enough. So that's why I decided it's time to use the Google Gemini's. Now I have the advanced package, so this is the 2.5 Pro experimental, whereas this one is the 2.5 Pro preview. I think either way, I think it's okay. So yeah, my assumption is that this is the best way to go. It's definitely providing longer responses. Now, is it doing this craziness because it's like there's this window is too long? Okay. So what we could do is I could just click this new chat. Okay, developer, thank you for outlining your debugging hypothesis in action so clearly and for applying. Acknowledge the role switch. Action tester, as you stated, please provide this test where hopefully logic fixes components themselves resolve persistent text failures. Now, when I was using Cursor and I would start a new window like this, before I started the new window, I kept asking it like all kinds of crazy things. Like I would ask it like, hey, what do I need to share with the next window in order to make sure we're on the same page? Now, I don't get that same impression with Google Gemini. Why? It's because every time I open the software, it starts with a new chat. And so the thing is that it doesn't actually give me the option. It doesn't actually give me the option to look at previous chats. So I get the impression that it doesn't really matter. Maybe the context window is so big that you don't actually have to worry about that. Now, I'm doing a little bit of a different technique right now. Now, because in Cursor, it's so much easier to copy and paste even really long chat window comments. It's actually harder to copy and paste with this Firebase Studio. But I feel like maybe, okay, so developer, great job fixing this, that. Plan, tackle, current developer, this. Okay, so the project manager is a little bit confused. So you see, this is the tester. It's changing the testing files. When it jumps into the tester role, it's only working with the tester files. And then when it jumps into the developer role, it only does the other files. Okay, so now let's address this issue. All right, so you can see that this basically the video from here on is just going to be me with just bouncing back and forth between these two windows until we've completed all of our assignments, which is somewhere in here. Yeah. I think it's this. I think this is the list, but it just doesn't have numbers. Revise actionable list. It's just going to take us through this until we get through all of those points. And then once we get through all those points, at some point, I'm going to have to like check the user interface. So I can't imagine that the video is going to be any more interesting. It's just going to be me going back and forth. So I think I'm going to sign off and just work through these details for a little while longer. So I'll catch you next time.